Tim Maguire, President of KP Local 79, representing the City of Toronto inside workers providing services to Toronto's communities. I'm here to speak to the city's chronically high staffing vacancy rates and how the 2018 budget direction you'll consider later threatens to make this even worse. The first quarter variance report shows that there are over 3,000 unfilled staff positions. Last year around this time, the city was also missing over 300 staff. Those vacancies were projected to be reduced and then not. In fact, in June 2016, City Council directed the City Manager to report to the Budget Committee prior to the 2017 City Budget launch on workforce development plans and strategies to address the City's vacancy rates in a sustainable manner. That report never came, and it's clear now that staff vacancies were never reduced. Once again, the report project reducing these vacancies by about half by the end of the year. We have no faith that this will happen, especially if budgets are frozen. We've engaged with thousands of our members delivering frontline services across Toronto's communities and here at City Hall over the past 10 months about workload, rising workload issues, staff suffering from from overwork, and they are continuing to suffer across each division that we visited. We spoke to over 4,000 of our members providing those services across the city in the last 10 months and will continue to do so. The report shows that now we may be paying more or even making others pay more to make up for the loss of service that comes from these unfilled positions and constant budget cuts. In Shelter housing and support, the report showed that the division has had to overspend in hostel services to deal with spiking demand, while 87.3 positions in shelters are unfilled, making it even harder to meet demand. We hope that staff will be asked to clarify what is meant by the report's indication that the unfavorable variance in the SSHA report will be partially, quote, offset by underspending in social housing provider subsidies for property taxes, operating costs, mortgage payments, and rent. Is the city really considering cutting subsidies now, mid-year? Also concerning under the spending in facilities, real estate, energy, and environment driven by vacancies, particularly in facilities management, was compensated for through contracted services. Not only can contracting out cost the city more money, it may violate the Local 79 collective agreements if you're using contracted services to backfill vacant positions without notice to Local 79. And we will be following up on this. In terms of the budget direction, you will see later, 0 is a cut due to inflation. Therefore, there are predictably impact on services and jobs. Vacancy rates in the variance reports will have to be considered in light of the 2017 budget's decisions to delete 400 positions. For example, about 140 positions were cut in PFR in the 2017 budget, and now 219 remain vacant despite nearly 200,000 on waiting lists. Making a decision today to freeze spending is frankly irresponsible when you have adopted a plan after plan that has promised investments in services to reduce poverty, improve housing, expand transit, and a whole host of other things, and the city needs to make life better for everyone, and that's not what it's doing. We are one of 90 signatures on a letter asking you to reject an across-the-board budget freeze and instead put forward a budget process that shapes itself around the needs of Toronto and its communities. Our recommendations are one, ask staff to report on the use of external contractors to make up for staff shortages in facilities and real estate. This report should include the work done by contractors, how much that would cost compared to the cost of in-house delivery, and the specific vacant positions that were backfilled through external contracts. 2, ask staff for details on which social housing providers will receive reduced subsidies to offset overspending in shelter housing and support, and the expected effects of those reductions. And 3, to ensure city divisions are able to deliver high-quality city building services. Delete recommendation 4 in the budget process, 2018 budget process. Finally, I will say that over and over again, the city makes these decisions to to freeze budgets, to reduce budgets, and we know that means service impacts, and it means less stable jobs and therefore contributes to inequality in this city. When is the city going to realize that it doesn't work?
Thank you, Tim. We're at 5:15. Councillor Carroll, I believe, has some questions.
Yes. I'm just wondering, you're asking us to fill some of the vacant positions, but you're not asking us to fill more than the 2017 budget showed we would be filling, are you? We actually budgeted to fill some of the positions named as vacant in the 2017 budget process. Those are the positions you're talking about, am I right?
These are the positions we're talking about. In a Groundhog Day fashion, the city every year comes forward and talks about gapping but does nothing about it. It budgets for a certain number of positions to deliver certain services, and it's misleading to do that to the public, to say you're going to have a certain level of service to the homeless, to childcare, to other services in the city, and then not fill those positions. It's misleading, and the city should be honest about the number of positions it's going to attribute to each service it delivers, and then fill them to provide that service. If you do it over and over again, it's a plan.
And from it's a plan that actually decreases, it's a cumulative total, is it not? We're actually getting, the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's a plan that provides unstable service. And if you do it over and over again, Einstein's definition of insanity, do the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. Do something different. So it's a plan that creates unstable services, it's a plan that creates unstable jobs, and it's a plan, therefore, that increases inequality rather than going after the city's stated objective, which is to reduce poverty. And it's also a plan, quite frankly, that is attacking stable jobs and has put men and women out on strike this morning. So this is the context in which people go to the bargaining table. You budget for stability or you budget for instability.
Thank you. So one last question. It sounds like you've analyzed the numbers in the variance report very, very closely, but you also have the perspective of going out to the divisions. For the budget committee members, when we embark on our informal review, are there divisions we should particularly look at where this problem is most prevalent?
Yes.
In your view?
Yes, and I'm angry about this. I apologize. Long-term care.
It's okay.
The cut of $700,000 to the long-term care budget in 2017 means that seniors and others with long-term care issues sit in their beds longer, take longer to get escorted to the dining room, and it means our members do their training for free. You're violating their collective agreement. You're violating their employment standards, right? Fix that cut. Make sure that our senior citizens are delivered the services that they need. Earlier this year, the mayor indicated to the media, when talking about rates of TTC fares to seniors, he said they paid their dues. They've paid their dues. Make sure that senior citizens get the services they deliver, and make sure that the people that deliver those valuable services are cared for too. It's wrong that the city is forcing them to go home and to do 3 hours of online training and come back to work and have done that training for free. It's wrong. That's one example, but there are many others where there will be a service impact of not filling positions, and there will be a service impact of another flatline. It's a cut. So I'm angry about that, and our members are angry about it. I'm going around to every single one of our workplaces, and they're telling us about the workload impact. We went out to Westburn Manor, where the mayor recently visited. And the first person that talked to us said that she drove in, didn't drive in, she took public transit in from North Brampton to Westburn Manor to do online training on her own time. Undo that cut in 2018. We will be filing grievances on that issue. It'll cost you in that way, but it costs those that are sitting in beds too long.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Tim. Oh, sorry, Councillor DiCiano had questions.
Thank you, Mr. Maguire. Last council session, we debated a basic income pilot.
Yes.
Is your Local 79 in support of a basic income pilot?
Well, it's not on the subject matter before us. I'll comment. No, we're not in support. The basic income pilot project, the version that's being proposed by the provincial government, under the rubric or the direction of the approach by Senator Segal, is to rid services that attend income maintenance. So if you're on social assistance, potentially down the road, if you're on NODSP, but potentially down the road, if you're on workers' compensation, or if you're on unemployment, dwindling unemployment supports in this country, then the services that are provided to help people with addictions, help people with housing needs, help people with unemployment needs, help people with mental health needs, will eventually disappear. And people will be left in poverty. They'll be given under the poverty rates income and told to go away.
So,
Council, just want to, this is
I appreciate.
clarification questions. We're sort of veering way off what the item is, so I just wanted to,
okay, fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you.